Hello, today we're going to learn how to factor special products. Well, factoring special products, it's something that you need to pay close attention because we have the three different special products. We have difference of a square of a sum, and a square of a difference. In this video, we will learn how to factor special products with difference of a square. So let's start with an example. In this example, we have x squared minus 36 equals 0. So what I need to do? Well, first I need to see my pattern. My pattern tells me that when I have x squared minus y squared, this means any number subtracted from any other number and both of them are square, this will be equal to x minus y times x plus y. So I'm going to start taking my factors of these ones, and I'm going to define, well, what is a square number? A square number is this number multiplied by itself. How you can see it on here, a raised to the second power, or a squared, equals to a times a, because any single number raised to the square power is the same number multiplied by itself. So I'm going to take the factors of x and the factors of 36. How you can see in here, the imaginary number that the x have is 1. So my factors for 1 are 1 times 1. And my factor for 36, well, my factor for 36 are 1 times 36, 2 times 18, 4 times 9, 6 times 6. Okay, and here I'm going to see which ones are the square numbers that I can use. Well, on here I just have 1 times 1, so it's this the square number. And on number 36, the square number is 6 times 6. So these numbers are the ones I'm going to use. I'm going to ignore the other ones, because if I follow my property, I need to see that these numbers need to be a square. And the square number is 6 times 6. So I'm going to apply my property, and I'm going to have x minus 6 and x plus 6 equals 0. Why? Because I just substitute the values. I have x squared, my factor for x squared are x times x, and my factor for 36 are 6 and 6. Now that I take this, I'm not done in here because I have an equal sign. And when I have an equal sign, this means it's an equation. So I need to apply my property to put a 0 to each of the parentheses. So I'm going to have x minus 6 equals 0. And I'm going to leave my variable alone. I'm going to take away the parentheses from here. And I need to move my 6 that is subtracting to the other side, adding. This way, I'm going to have x equals positive 6. Because I move it, this 6 that was subtracting to the other side, adding. And 0 plus 6 is just 6. Now, I need to do just the same with the other parentheses. X plus 6. I take away my parentheses and I move my 6 to the other side. If on this side was adding, on the other side go subtracting. So this way I have x equals negative 6. So my two possible answers are x equals 6 and x equals negative 6. Okay. Now we're going to do another example. But this one has a little bit of something different. So I start placing my pattern I need to follow, and I leave my equation with one of the sides equal to 0. Because this way I have it on here, I cannot work with it. So I start leaving it one of my sides equals to 0. And I move my negative 50 to the other side, adding. Now, I need to factorize this. But how I'm going to factorize it? The first thing I need to see in here is that I have a common factor. So I'm going to take away this common factor and I'm going to multiply this common factor by a parenthesis. Because if I apply my distributive property and I multiply this, I'll just have the same as the value I have on the top. But I did this in a way to have my pattern. Because how you can see in here, 2 is not a square number and 50 is not a square number. So now I have the square numbers. I have x raised to the square power and I have 25 that is a square number. So I'm going to take my factor for 1 and my factor for 25. Now that I find that 1 times 1 is my square number for x and 5 times 5 is my square number for 25. I'm going to apply my property that I have on here. And this way I'll have negative 2 times x minus 5 times x plus 5 equals 0. Now, I'm not done on here because again, I have an equation. So I'm going to place each of these terms equals to 0. Negative 2 equals to 0. X minus 5 equals to 0. And x plus 5 equals to 0. Negative 2 equals to 0 is not possible, so I'll ignore it. X minus 5 equals to 0. Well, I take away my parentheses and I move my 5 to the other side. This way I have x equals 5. I do the same process with the other parentheses. X plus 5 equals 0. I take away my parentheses and I move my 5 to the other side in a way to have x equals negative 5. Now I can find that my answer is x equals 5 and x equals negative 5. Well, we're going to do another procedure for this same equation, because if you don't understand how to take a greatest common factor between these two, you can also do it with the other procedure. So with this procedure, I again place my square, but I can see that on here I don't have a square. So what I'm going to do, well, I'm going to place it in a way to factorize it just as we did it on other videos with the scissor method. I place a 0 in the middle because this way I can apply my scissor method when I have a trinomial. If I don't have a trinomial, I cannot apply my scissor method. So that's the reason why I place a 0 in the center. Why I don't place it in the end? Because I need it on the center. Okay? So when you don't have a third value in here, you add it at the center, not at the end. Okay. Now, I'm going to take my factor for 2 and my factor for 50. My factor for 2 are 1 times 2, and those are the only factors, and my factor for 50 are 1 times 50, 2 times 25, 5 times 10, and that's all. Now, I need to see my signs. I have a negative, a positive, and a positive. Well, if I have a negative, the first thing I need to know is that one will be positive and the other will be negative. And in the other side, I have a positive. So both of them will be the same sign. Either both of them positive or both of them negative. So I'm going to place both of them positive. Because in this case, I need them positive. Okay, how I know which one will be positive and which one will be negative? Well, If the one in the center is positive, the greater needs to be positive. I'm going to place my values 1 and 50 for 50, and for 2x, I'm going to place 1 and 2. I multiply positive 1x times positive 50, and I have 50x, and I multiply negative 2x times 1, and I have negative 2x. This way, when I subtract them, I have 48x. This is not the answer I need on here because the answer I need is 0. So I'm going to continue trying with another values. I'm going to raise a 1 in the 50, and I'm going to start testing with 2 and 25. Negative 2x times 2 and 1x times 25. And I have negative 4x plus 25x. This way my answer is 21x. But this is not the answer I need. So I'm gonna erase it again, and I'm gonna try with another value. I'm gonna start with try with 5 and 10. Negative 2x times 5 and 1x times 10. This way I have negative 10x plus 10x. And if I subtract these two values, I have 0. Now that I find my value, I take that my parentheses are 1x plus 5 and negative 2x plus 10. Now, I equal them to 0, and I'm going to start taking the values of each parenthesis individually. X plus 5 equals 0, and negative 2x plus 10 equals 0. X plus 5 equals 0, and I take away my parentheses. Now, I need to leave my variable completely alone. I move my 5 to the other side, and I have x equals negative 5. Now, negative 2x plus 10 equals 0. I move my 10 to the other side as a negative number, and now I need to leave my variable completely alone. If my negative 2 is multiplying the x, I move it to the other side dividing. So I have x equals negative 10 over negative 2. Now, if I divide these two numbers, that both of them are negative, I'll have a positive answer. And 10 divided by 2 is 5. So in this way, I got just the same answer I got on the other way. X equals negative 5 and x equals 5. So now we're going to compare both procedures. And as you can see, either if you do it this way or if you do it the other way, both ways you're going to take the same answer. X equals 5 and x equals negative 5. X equals 5 and x equals negative 5. So you can use the way you think is better for you, because in both ways you got the same answer. I hope you understand it really well, and thanks for watching. If you have any doubt, you can leave it in the comments below.